Well everyone, Jaltu's here. I'm at the Jefferson Proving Grounds in Indiana, and there's an 8-track railroad crossing right here. Check this out. They use all these tracks still. Look at this. Not many 8-track railroad crossings around anymore. They're still in use. All 8 of these tracks are in use. These cars are storage cars. This is an old military installation here, and they use this base now to store railroad cars. There's hundreds of them here, as far as you can see down through there. Those wheels are rusty on those cars. Those have been there for a while, those tank cars. But some of these, like these hopper cars here, those wheels are pretty shiny. Eight-track railroad crossing. Can't shoot in the sun. The Madison Railroad has miles and miles of tracks in this compound here, and they just use them to store railroad cars. They usually run on like Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. They'll bring cuts of railroad cars out here or take some back. So there you go. This is pretty cool. Let's see what else they've got here. The Jefferson Proving Grounds has thousands of acres of land back here, and there's hundreds of railroad cars stored all over the place here. Check this out. They've been putting some new ties in, so that's a good sign. Brand new railroad tie right there. And there's some really old track in here too. Let's have a look at some of the dates on the side of the rail. I see some right here. Hold on a second. Looks like a 100-pound rail. I can't tell the date. Maryland and Ohio. Oh, there's 1925. 1925 on this track. I can't make out what the other stuff says, but it looks like it says 100-pound rail. Pretty interesting. Really old tie plates. Look how small some of those are. There's hundreds and hundreds of railroad cars back here, as you can tell. There's covered hopper cars, there's open hoppers, there's tank cars, and look at that. As far as you can see between those cars, they keep going. So this is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Look at all those tracks across there. Don't know if they show up in the video. Here's another look at this crossing here. 8 tracks. Where do you see 8 tracks that are all in use at one railroad crossing? That's pretty rare. Ah, but wait, there's more. We got all kinds of cool stuff over here, folks. Look at this. Got a 3-track railroad crossing, all kinds of old buildings, mostly privately owned now. Most of the buildings here and the land is privately owned now. Used to be part of the military. Let's have a closer look here. And they do move these cars around every once in a while. Tomorrow being Friday, there will probably be a train bringing another load of cars down. Another cut of cars will probably come from North Vernon by the Madison Railroad. Now those cars have been there for a while. Look at the rust on those wheels. All right, let's see some more train stuff around here, folks. This is the Madison Railroad, their main headquarters here for the proving grounds, right there in that building. Got a locomotive sitting over here. A little switcher locomotive there and a caboose behind it. That's pretty cool. And they've got a couple locomotives inside that building that they're working on right now. Wish I could see those, that'd be awesome. And I'm now at the back side of the main Madison Railroad buildings right here. There's one of their main locomotives. There's that switcher locomotive with the caboose. Sorry about the wind, folks. It's another windy day. Windy day in Indiana. That is a really nice looking railroad car. Look at that. This is a bunker, and it's got dirt all the way over top of it, and the military would keep probably a bomb, some kind of a bomb would be kept in there and then loaded onto a railroad car right here. There's the track. There's a lot of these bunkers. There's dozens of them back in here. Miles and miles of railroad track. They do a huge railroad car storage business on this property. And there's also, this is a private hunting and fishing preserve. I want to show you how bumpy these railroad crossings are back here. Look at this. The rail is actually recessed down a few inches below the pavement. So when you drive across here, it's a heck of a bump. You gotta go really slow across these crossings. And there's a bunker right here, another bunker. Looks like a ventilation stack on top of it. And there's a really old locomotive sitting right over there. Little center cab diesel locomotive. Let's go over and have a closer look at it. That is an old locomotive. And then you've got another one, looks like a little Plymouth right there. Let's go over and have a closer look at this. Let's have a look here, if we can get up here. Oh.
This is a Davenport.
Yeah, I thought it was a Davenport. I was going to say that on here. I didn't want to say something wrong. See if you can see inside. It's all locked up. Can you see the gauges in there? The glass is kind of smeary. Looking inside at the controls on the Davenport locomotive. And there's your bunker, that big hump sticking up, covered with dirt. There's the door to the bunker where they would load onto railroad cars, a bomb or whatever they keep in there. And I looked inside that bunker and there was a bat in there right behind the door, hibernated, but it was still alive. Okay, I'm inside the locomotive here. The back door was wide open, so we can have a little bit of look. There's where your engineer would sit. Got all the controls right here. And no, I don't know what any of them do. There's your gauges. It's cold outside, but inside here it's nice and warm right now. There's even flies flying around. Outside there's still some snow on the ground. The snow is on the back side of these rail cars where the sun's not getting it. So this is really cool. I don't know if this thing opens. Oh yeah, it does. Who knows what's inside of here. Oh wow. That's cool. Let's get this thing running again. How much money would that take? Pretty awesome. Have a look at that nice looking Plymouth right there. Wonder how long that thing's been sitting there. That thing is old. I love those kind of locomotives though. Sure would like to see this thing running again. That's never going to happen. Doors are locked on that one. Here's the back side of the bunker. Oh, and they've got the door wide open. I was here last fall and saw a bat inside of here. Somebody left the door open. There you go. Got some bales of hay all torn up laying in here. Old newspapers, tobacco it looks like. Huh. Apparently they've been using this for farm storage. Listen to the echo. Live action. I don't know if this thing picks up the echo, but that's pretty cool. Here. Outside the bunker. This thing's big. Remains of railroad track that got torn up right there. The track used to keep on going, but right here is the dead end of it where this Plymouth is sitting. That locomotive's sitting right at the dead end. Notice how they've been cutting the trees back along the tracks here. That's always a good sign. So they're going to be storing more cars back in some of these tracks. I've noticed they've done a lot of areas where they're cutting the trees back from the tracks. All right, we're going to have a little cruise down through here. You got all these railroad cars here, and there's bunkers on the other side of these cars. Here's one right there. See there? Oh, the door's open even. Got those military bunkers. Let's see what else we got. There's a bunch of them down through here. There's another bunker. Whoa, speed bump. There's a bunker right behind that tank car there. There you go. That one's open too. Interesting. There's hundreds of cars back here. So if the owner of one of these cars, let's say the guy who owns those covered hoppers up there, he decides he wants his cars out, they got to move hundreds of cars to get to those. That would probably take you a couple days. That actually happened on the Cincinnati Eastern Railroad a couple years ago. I filmed that. They needed to get a car out from all the way down to the very end of a long cut of cars in Peebles, Ohio. And it took them 2 days to move all those cars and to get the one car out that they needed. Look for my video, folks. It's a really good video. There's another bunker back there. Can't see that one though. These cars are blocking it pretty good. Right here. There's the road that goes into it. Oh, that one's open too. It's got junk in there. Let's see what's inside of that one.
It's a food serving tray.
All right, I'm inside the bunker here now, and it looks like this one's got a lot of stuff from a hospital stored in here. There's a food serving rack, which is kind of hard to see because of the sun over there. Right there, it's food serving rack. There's a IV holder back behind it. All kinds of mattresses and box springs are in here. Look at all this old junk. Old outdated computer. You got this hair thing. Now when was that made? Let's see if we can get that thing working again. Put your head underneath there. That's got to be 1950s technology. And that So this is it. This is inside the bunker here, folks.
These are all
This
beds.
thing's huge.
Look.
Yep, all
They're
beds.
all covered in plastic. You know why, right?
And the railroad cars are just outside there. Now, if they had these lights on in here, this would be bright. Now, some of them had 3 or 4 of those. This one's only got a couple. There you go, folks. Here's another big, long, endless line of railroad cars. Now look how long this line is here. I'm going to show you. All the way down that way, and then it keeps going. There's bunkers down there. Tons more railroad cars past that. And you've got this old building here. This is kind of cool looking. Windows wide open. What's inside there? Not much. Got an office here. I don't know why they've got all these doors wide open to these places. Just got rained on walking in. Snow's melting off the roof. Wow, this is cool. Scared the crap out of me there, dude. I don't like that. There's railroad cars out back, and this is where they would load onto the trains right here. And those cars are just stored. They were moved a little bit not too long ago. I noticed some aluminum hopper cars in the string that weren't there when I was here last fall. Inside of another room over here on this building, you've got a very interesting heating system here. There's a railroad car sitting out there, you can see that. And then this, I don't know where this goes to, let's find out. Bird nest. I have no idea what's back there. What is this? Shower. Doesn't even show up. Doesn't even show up on the video, it's too dark. There's a shower back here.
Yeah, I think I saw that before.
Wow, this place is really cool. Another bird nest. Needs a little bit of maintenance. I just found something really cool here, folks. Check out this maintenance away flat car. They use this thing to move railroad ties and rail. This is really cool. This is an old one. They've been putting a lot of new ties in on these tracks back here for storage. There's no customers shipping anything out, so this is all storage tracks back in this place. But look at this. This car was built in 1957. That's pretty cool. Well over 50 years. You know, the railroad cars are only used for 50 years unless they do some kind of modifications or get some kind of exemption. And that's well over 50 years. Bunch of old buildings back here too, they're kind of interesting. Let's have another look at this car though, up close. I love that flat car, that is really cool. Another railroad crossing here. And some kind of building way back there, I don't know what that is. I'll have to go back and have a look at that even. Okay, so this is the old guard shack right here. Let's see if there's anything in here. Real small building here. Got some barn swallows in here. And mud daubers over here I saw. Where was it? Right there. Mud daubers. Used to be a toilet right there. More barn swallow nest. Glass everywhere in there. Electric baseboard heat. Huh, surprised they don't use fuses for this. Got the breaker box right there. Must have done some retrofitting. Okay, so if a truck wants to come by, we got to open the gate over here, give them a green light. See those lights way over there? Let's give them a green light and let the trucks on in. The guard shack, number 232. Okay, there's one of those lights for the guard shack. The light's got to get on green to let the trucks in. Now, you know how I was talking about those bunkers where they would keep the bombs to ship out on rail? Well, you don't want to go beyond this fence right here. There you go. You're walking through this field back in there, you might get popped up in the air a little bit. Not much back there to see anyway. Ah, but wait, there's more! Of course there always is. This is Highway 500 out here, just north of Dupont. Pretty nice area out here in the country too. Look at it. Pretty much like back home. Hey everyone, I'm in Vernon, Indiana. It's a really cool looking place here too. Check it out. It's like the courthouse there. Some police cars down there. Check out these old buildings over here though. That's the Historical Society Museum. That's pretty cool. And the railroad tracks down here got a really cool bridge. Let's get up there and have a look at that. Check out that old building right there. And the railroad underpass is right over here. That's really cool looking. That's old. A lot of history right there. Ah, but wait, there's a train coming. That was cool. Yep, definitely worth it. That was pretty cool.